Disability first. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The question is that the amendment be disagreed to, and I give the call to the member for Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I rise to speak on the NDIS amendment, Improving Support for At-Risk Participants Bill 2021. This bill responds to a number of recommendations of the independent review of the adequacy of the regulation of the supports and services provided to Ms. Anne-Marie Smith, an NDIS participant who died on the 6th of April 2020, known as the Robinson Review. The remaining recommendations relate to policy options, which are still being progressed through the joint work with states and territories on strengthening supports and protections for people with disability at risk of harm, including outreach and the future approach to community visitor schemes. The Morrison government is committed and continues to consider ways to improve the NDIS to make it the best it can be. This bill makes important technical amendments to better support the operations of the NDIS Commission based on early implementation experience. These amendments build on the operational changes already made by the NDIS Commission and the National Disability Insurance Agency to better support at-risk people with disability, including better outreach and working with providers to ensure a participant is not cared for unsupervised by a single worker. The NDIS Commission and the NDIA have already taken available action to improve information sharing, including agreeing to a Memorandum of Understanding and a set of operational protocols to govern information exchange. This bill supports improved information sharing arrangements between these two agencies to better protect people with disability. Significantly, it enacts a less restrictive threshold for sharing information than the current one, which establishes that disclosure must be necessary to prevent or lessen a serious threat to an individual's life, health, or safety. The relevant amendment removes qualifiers like serious or necessary to ensure that any threat to life, health, or safety is significant grounds for the recording, use of disclosure of protected NDIS Commission information. The bill also amends provisions for disclosing information in a number of specific situations and provides for greater clarity around reportable incidents. Importantly, these changes to information sharing do not undermine or reduce the significant protections for personal information under the NDIS Act. Personal information held by the NDIA or the NDIS Commission will continue to be considered protected information. Further important changes provided for in this bill relate to the need to ensure consistency and procedural fairness in the application of the NDIS Commission's regulatory responses. The NDIS market is diverse, including non-profit organizations, large private companies, and individuals running their own businesses. Accordingly, the NDIS Act places obligations on providers, workers, and anyone who is otherwise engaged by the provider. For the avoidance of doubt that the Act covers the range of potential governance arrangements. This bill ensures that obligations and regulatory responses also fall on the key personnel of a provider, which can include the CEO, Board of Directors, and any other relevant personnel. Mr. Deputy Speaker, these and a range of other technical amendments provided for in this bill will strengthen the existing supports and protections for NDIS participants and ensure their well-being. They are designed to ensure the safety of participants at risk of harm and will strengthen the operational effectiveness of the NDIS Commission. The government will continue to remember the tragic circumstance of each NDIS participant who has suffered abuse, neglect, and exploitation. We cannot state more clearly and sincerely our commitment to taking the required action to better protect participants and to make this scheme and this system as good as it can be. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Well said.